I have been such a big fan of the Amex Platinum card since I got it about 3 years ago. Even with its $695 annual fee, I was able to get a lot of value from this card with the many statement credits and benefits that the card has. But as we all know, there have been a lot of changes with credit cards recently. Not only direct changes like annual fees and credits, but also indirectly with changes to program partners and airport lounge access. So in this video, I'm going to explain what caused me to start thinking of saying goodbye to my Amex Platinum card, some of the pros and cons to that decision, and how I'd move forward with my credit card portfolio and setup without the Amex Platinum card. Now, one of the main reasons why the Amex Platinum card was a great card for me was that it offered the broadest access to airport lounges through their global lounge collection. This collection includes the Centurion Lounge Network, Delta Sky Clubs, Priority Pass Select, Escape Lounges, Plaza Premium Lounges, Lufthansa Lounges, as well as a few others. As I fly multiple times per month for work, every time I go to the airport, I usually stop by an airport lounge for either lunch or dinner, so I get incredible value from this one perk alone. Looking back at previous travel, I typically fly about 50 segments per year for work, which means over the course of the year, I'd visit 50 airport lounges, and I actually visit more because this estimate doesn't even include any personal trips that I take. And since my main flight route is between Ontario Airport in Southern California and Sacramento Airport in Northern California, those are the two airport lounges that I go to the most. In Ontario, I visit the Aspire Lounge, and in Sacramento, I visit the Escape Lounge. Now, the Aspire Lounge in Ontario can be accessed by either a Priority Pass membership or an Amex Platinum card, so this isn't really an American Express specific lounge. But for Sacramento, the Escape Lounge used to only be accessible by either purchasing a single-use pass or by holding a credit card, and specifically the Amex Platinum card or Amex Centurion card for all travelers, or by holding an Amex Delta Reserve card provided you were traveling on a Delta marked flight that day. So for the Sacramento Lounge, it was basically required to have an Amex Platinum, Centurion, or Delta Reserve card for access, unless you wanted to pay for it out of pocket. But in late June 2024, the Escape Lounge Network announced that it would allow Priority Pass members to access escape lounges in multiple airports across the United States, which included the escape lounges in Sacramento. So these lounges went from American Express exclusive lounges to Priority Pass lounges, and depending on the side of the fence you're on, you could see this as a good or bad thing. Now, the Sacramento Lounge is already a pretty small space, and so it's very common for it to be very crowded on peak travel days, even before Priority Pass access was added. So I think it's good that the lounge is more accessible, but that just means it's going to be even more crowded than it already is, which is not good. But going back to the Platinum card, for me personally, the Sacramento Lounge was the one reason why this card was so valuable to me. It gave me exclusive access to this one lounge that I went to on a regular basis at least 25 times per year. And so with the lounge no longer being exclusive to American Express, I no longer need the Amex Platinum card for this specific purpose. But what about all the other Amex Centurion lounges that remain exclusive to American Express? I mean, wouldn't I want access to those too? Well, I look back at all my travel over the past 3 years since I got the Platinum card, and since then, I've only been to a handful of Centurion lounges. I've been to the ones in Denver, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Phoenix once, and I've been to the one in Las Vegas maybe like 8 to 10 times over the past 3 years. Now, all these Centurion Lounge visits have been on personal trips, so these aren't locations that I go to regularly, except for maybe Las Vegas. But sadly, the Las Vegas Centurion Lounge has become increasingly busy over the past few years, to the point where I'm not as excited to go there anymore because, in my experience, the environment in that lounge is actually louder and more chaotic than the actual airport terminal itself, which is honestly very ironic. On the other hand, there are alternative options for lounge access in Las Vegas, including the club at LAS, which I haven't personally been to before, and there's also a Chase Sapphire Lounge opening soon, but that opening date hasn't yet been announced, at least as of recording of this video. And so when it comes to Centurion lounges, yes, I do go to them when traveling, but as I don't go to them very frequently, that lounge benefit is no longer a standout feature to me on the Amex Platinum card, especially because there are so many other lounge options out there which I could just access through a Priority Pass membership alone or through another credit card through a different issuer. And because of this lounge overcrowding, I've actually noticed my travel habits and lounge preferences change, and this became really apparent to me on a recent trip to Las Vegas. And I want to share this experience because maybe a lot of you can relate to this when it comes to the decision to go to an airport lounge. And so just to set the stage, I was flying home from Las Vegas after a wonderful stay where my wife and I met up with one of my friends and his family for a weekend of fun at the Mandalay Bay Beach. Coming to the airport, I already knew that the Centurion Lounge was going to be super packed because we were flying back on a Sunday afternoon in the middle of summer, which I would consider to be a peak travel day at the Las Vegas airport. We arrived at the airport at around 11:30 a.m., which gave us plenty of time to make it to our flight 3 hours later at 2:30 p.m. I checked my Amex app and it said that the Centurion Lounge was full. But I wanted to go to Terminal D anyways, since it's just a nicer terminal with more food options as compared to Terminal C, where our gate was located. So we took the tram and we walked over to the Centurion Lounge, and what do you know, there's a huge line outside the door of the Centurion Lounge, maybe 15 to 30 parties deep. And after seeing that, I didn't really bother to check the specifics of that line. It could have been just the line to get in, or it could have been the line that you get in after you checked in and waited for an hour first. In any case, I wasn't going to wait in that line because as someone who's waited in that line before, I knew that even after being let into the Centurion Lounge, it wasn't going to be quiet, calm, or relaxing. We'd probably have to find a couple of chairs or a table to sit at, if there's one available at all, and then wait in another line for food and drinks. And I don't know, after a weekend in Vegas, I just didn't want to deal with any of that. So we turned around and went to a nearby restaurant in the terminal, which happened to be a California pizza kitchen. And mind you, this is around noon, so like peak lunch hour. I went up to the hostess and asked her to be seated for a table for two. And she said, "Right this way, please." And in less than a minute, my wife and I were sitting at a table next to a large floor-to-ceiling window where we could watch planes taxi in and out of their respective gates. We ordered our food, which came promptly, and we enjoyed a nice lunch at the restaurant, which wasn't really that full. We even had time to go to a Cinnabon right after lunch to get one of their delicious rolls for dessert too. And of course, there wasn't a wait in that restaurant either. And all the while, I'm thinking to myself, wow, I'm so glad I decided not to wait in line for the Centurion Lounge and deal with that chaotic atmosphere in a packed lounge, and I was able to enjoy instead a nice pleasant lunch with my wife right before our flight home. Of course, I do want to point out that by not going to the lounge, we had to pay for our food, and it did set us back about $60 total, which is not small. And if we had waited to get into the lounge, that food would have been free. But I think this is a good example of showing the value of time versus money. And everyone is going to have their own opinion on this, and there really is no right answer, just the right answer for you. And in this specific situation, my wife and I both valued our time more than we valued money. So we were both okay with spending that extra money on a better airport experience instead of waiting in line for that Amex Centurion Lounge. And that's a little sad in my opinion, that the better airport experience is actually in the terminal and not in the lounge. But that's where we're at with US airport lounges in 2024. And yes, I want to reiterate that this was a peak travel day, but this is by no means an isolated incident, as there have been many other times during my travels where I didn't go to an airport lounge because it was too crowded and there was a long wait to get in. And I should also say that this is not just an American Express problem, but a problem with all airport lounges, including the ones by Chase and Capital One. But as I hold an American Express Platinum card with an annual fee of $695, I expect a better airport lounge experience than the one that I'm getting right now. Okay, so let's just say I cancel my Amex Platinum card. I still want to get into airport lounges, so how am I going to do that? Well, I have 3 other cards that come with a Priority Pass membership: the Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite Credit Card, the Chase Ritz-Carlton card, and the US Bank Altitude Reserve card. The Premium Rewards Elite Credit Card has a $550 annual fee and comes with up to 4 Priority Pass memberships that include not only airport lounges, but Priority Pass restaurants as well. The Chase Ritz-Carlton card has a $450 annual fee and comes with a Priority Pass membership that no longer includes restaurants as of July 1st, 2024, but does include access to all Chase Sapphire lounges except for the Sapphire Terrace Lounge in the Austin airport. A nice benefit of the Chase Ritz-Carlton card is that you can have unlimited free authorized users, and each one gets their own Priority Pass with unlimited guests, although ultimately the guest limit is set by the individual Priority Pass lounge that you go to. And the US Bank Altitude Reserve card has a $400 annual fee and comes with a Priority Pass membership, which does include Priority Pass restaurants, but you only get 8 passes per year. So between these cards, the Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite Credit Card and the Chase Ritz-Carlton card combined together have great coverage for Priority Pass lounges, with the PR Elite covering restaurants and the Ritz-Carlton card covering Sapphire lounges. But both cards have very high annual fees, so if I were to pick one, I personally would probably find more value in the Chase Ritz-Carlton card, and this is because I'm much more likely to visit an airport with a Chase Sapphire lounge than one with a Priority Pass restaurant, just looking back at my previous travel patterns. So if I were to cancel my Amex Platinum card, as long as I had one of these two cards, I would still have the ability to get into the Priority Pass lounges, including the ones in Ontario and Sacramento, which are the two that are the most important to me. So lounge access is the main feature of the Platinum card that separates it from its peers, but are there any other benefits that I value highly? Well, yes, another benefit that I use on the Platinum card is the Fine Hotels and Resorts program, and you can earn 5x MR points from these purchases. Now for me, I primarily use this program for Las Vegas hotels, since these properties are the ones where I find the most value. But this program has become more selective recently in Las Vegas with the exit of MGM properties like the Bellagio and Cosmopolitan at the beginning of 2024, leaving fewer properties to choose from. Now, of course, you do get a $200 hotel credit to use with the Fine Hotels and Resorts program with the Platinum card, but over the past several years, I've noticed that I only use the FHR program to use this credit, and for the most part, all of my stays are typically booked directly with the hotel. So would I miss this benefit if I canceled my Amex Platinum card? Well, yeah, but since I only stay at an FHR property once a year, I think it'll be okay. I also want to mention that I have other hotel statuses earned from my other stays and other credit cards, including Marriott Titanium Elite, Hilton Gold, and IHG Platinum Elite, and since I have these, the FHR program isn't getting me as much value by comparison. Another travel benefit that I would lose by canceling the Platinum would be the Clear membership. Now, Clear has been hit or miss for me. Sometimes it's amazing because both the regular and TSA PreCheck lines are jam-packed, and Clear allows me to breeze through airport security with no issues. But at other times, Clear actually takes longer than the TSA PreCheck line. And as both my wife and I have Clear under the same account, I get charged not only the $149 for myself as a United Premier Silver member, but also an extra $99 for her as well, totaling $248. And since the Amex Platinum only covers $189, that means I'm paying $59 annually for Clear, which isn't bad, but I don't know if I'd pay for the service if it wasn't already covered. And as I mostly fly into and out of regional airports, overall, having Clear isn't that much better than having just TSA PreCheck alone. So I'd be okay with canceling Clear if I were to cancel my Amex Platinum card. And one other very important factor that I have to consider as well is that I have the Morgan Stanley version of the Amex Platinum card. I was lucky enough to open a Morgan Stanley Access Investing account before it was discontinued in December of 2022, which was the easiest account to open to have that Morgan Stanley investment relationship to keep this card open. Now this version is great because I get a free authorized user, which is a $195 value, since that's how much it costs to have an authorized user on every other version of this card. But if I cancel this card, I'll no longer have access to this perk, and I'm not sure if I'll even bother applying for this card again. But now this brings up the question, why do I even need an authorized user on the Platinum card anyways? And the reason, at least before, was that I wanted my wife to have access to airport lounges if she was traveling on her own. Well, here's the thing. I could make her an authorized user on my Chase Ritz-Carlton card, or even get her a Priority Pass membership through my Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite card, both for free, and she would still have access to a lot of great airport lounges out there. Of course, she wouldn't have access to the American Express and train lounges anymore, but since we both travel to similar places and rarely without each other, I think we'll be just fine. And so those are my current thoughts on the Amex Platinum card, and I'm still on the fence whether I'm going to keep this card or not. Now to be clear, I have no immediate plans to cancel this card right away, and I plan to keep it open at least until its next renewal date in mid-2025. But in the meantime, I'm going to start making some moves and use my other luxury travel cards like the Premium Rewards Elite credit card and the Ritz-Carlton credit card more often, both for spending and for benefits, to see what life would be like without the Platinum card before I make that ultimate keep or cancel decision. And this upcoming decision reminds me of a similar decision I had to make with my Amex Gold card. And to see why I ultimately ended up canceling that card, check out this video next.